This video serves as an introduction to product compliance requirements in Canada. And 4 areas that I will cover, begin with consumer products and the CCPSA, move to textile products, packaging and substance regulations, and provincial regulations. Before we move on, you can download a free product compliance checklist covering the US, the EU, the UK, Canada, and Australia if you go to compliancegate.com/checklist. Let's begin with consumer products and the requirements under the CCPSA. CCPSA states that no company can manufacture, import, advertise, or sell a consumer product that is A, unsafe, or B, is subject to a recall order. So essentially, consumer products sold in Canada must be safe. And the CCPSA can be broken down into 3 components. Now, let's take a closer look. So first we have the CCPSA itself, and you find, let's say, the baseline requirements. Consumer products must be safe. The testing requirements, documentation requirements, requirements concerning warnings and instructions. Some products are exempt, others are prohibited. And in product regulations, now the way this works is that, as I said, the CCPSA sets the baseline requirements, whereas you have some products that are covered by specific regulations that set additional requirements for those particular products. Let's say pacifiers or tents or certain vaping products or specific substances like phthalates. Meaning, if your product is covered by one of these or more than one, then you also have to comply with these requirements in addition to the CCPSA requirements. Some of these regulations, they also reference product standards, meaning that if you sell, say, ice hockey helmets covered by this regulation on the right, then you also have to comply with the standard title set 262.1. Let's have a look at the product-specific regulations. So if you begin at the top left corner, you can see that some regulations apply to candles, others apply to carriages and strollers, and many other children's products, home products, and so on, and certain substances like phthalates, lead, and surface coatings. And they set all sorts of requirements. Could be mechanical safety, could be labeling, could be substance restrictions, as I just mentioned, documentation, and so on. And some products are prohibited, meaning that it's not a matter of complying with a set of requirements. It's just that you can't sell these products in Canada no matter what. Certain types of spectacle frames, baby walkers, no, not all baby walkers, just some of them, as you can see here on the point 3. And if you go to point 5, self bottle feeding devices for babies, that's also prohibited. Certain types of kites under point 8 and 9. This is not a complete list, so you actually have to go to the legislation to see the complete list. Let's move on. So next we have textiles, and the Textiles Labeling Act and the Textiles Labeling Advertising Regulations. The way it often works in Canada is you have an act that sets the baseline requirements, the general requirements, the broader requirements, if I can use that term. Very often you can find more specific requirements in regulations made under the act, such as the product-specific regulations that I showed, or in this case you also have an act and a set of regulations. Let's begin with the act. So first we have prohibitions, that no company can sell textile products that do not have a label that contain the textile fiber. And you can also find more straightforward labeling requirements in terms of the label content on the section 6. For example, again, you need to specify the generic name of the textile fibers. Could be more than one, if it's above 5%. Also need to provide the identity of the company that either manufactured or had a product manufactured. And such other information under point 4 and representations as may be required by the regulations to be included in the label. That sounds a bit vague and convoluted, but this could be referring to labeling requirements set by other product regulations or the textiles regulation for that matter. The Textiles Labeling and Advertising Regulation, which we'll get to right now. This is fairly long text. I'm not going to dissect this text in detail. That would take hours. But I will highlight some points. Now, as I mentioned, regulations often provide more detailed requirements. So under point 1, you can find information about the label itself, the placement, how the information should be displayed. Under part 3, the way that you should declare a textile fiber, terminology that can be used in the form of generic names under point 26. Okay, let's move on to the next section. We have packaging. We've got the Consumer Packaging and Labeling Act and the regulations made under the Act. And again, we have a set of prohibited practices. Products cannot be sold or advertised unless the packaging label contains a net quantity based on requirements of the Act or numerical count or unit of measurements set out in the Weights and Measures Act. And the label must not contain any false or misleading information concerning the quantity or representing the contents of the packaging, or if there's anything that's misleading about the type quality and so on. Now, I just want to mention there's a typo here on the point 2. It should be that the label must not contain any of the following. Of course, I should correct that next time. Right. You can also find the following packaging labeling requirements in the Act. As mentioned, we have the net quantity, but also the manufacturer identity and the principal place of business. Now, this could also be a company that has commissioned a manufacturer to produce products on their behalf. Say, a company that's importing products from China, for example. They have their own brand and they design products and they outsource that production to another company. Product identity and also information related to the following as may be prescribed. This is quite vague, but could be information about the size, material content, geographic origin, and so on. Now, as may be prescribed could also be referencing product regulations that has provisions related to the packaging, including packaging labeling. What I'm trying to say is that some product regulations, say those under the CCPSA, or at least some of them, they also set packaging labeling requirements. And these also have to be taken into consideration in addition to the packaging specific legislation. And then we have the bilingual requirement. This is really a cornerstone that must be understood if you sell anything in Canada, and that's that you must provide label information in both official languages. Both official languages, the definitions, means English and French. And this information can be found in the packaging and labeling regulations under Section 6, bilingual requirements and exemptions. Now, as I mentioned, the regulations, they provide more detailed requirements, more technical requirements. So under Section 7 and on, you can find information about the formatting and the placement and where you should not be placing a label, the formats that should be used when it comes to, say, net quantity, and so on. Next, we have substance regulations. So in Canada, as is the case in many other countries and markets, certain substances are restricted. Cadmium, lead, mercury, phthalates, and so on. I think I already mentioned that. And this could be the case that they are subject to a maximum limit, and if the content is above that, then the product is prohibited; it cannot be sold. Now, some substances are outright prohibited; they're not allowed in any quantity. A variety of substance regulations in Canada that cover certain substances like mercury, but also specific materials like plastics or new substances being introduced. It's complicated to make an assessment as a layman when it comes to this area and determine which of these apply to a specific product, a specific age group, a specific material, and which specific substances do we need to test for. My recommendation is to approach a testing company like TV Rhineland or any other company that provides testing services based on Canadian substance regulations. They have chemical engineers that can make this assessment for you. It's very difficult to do so unless you are a chemical engineer with expertise in this area. Now, bear in mind, other product regulations like those under the CCPSA also set substance restrictions. If you look in, say, the toy regulations, you will also see that you have a variety of restrictions concerning lead and so on. So, yeah, these are not all substance regulations that exist. And finally, we have the provincial regulations in Canada. Everything I've been going through until this point have been related to federal requirements. But you also have legislation that exists on a provincial level in, say, Quebec and so on. Actually, in, I think, 12 provinces? And these also provide additional requirements which could impact the way, say, you have to deal with marketing, certain labeling, and so on. But I'm not going to go into detail. Just here to make you aware, give you a big picture. It should also be mentioned that additional Canadian acts and regulations cover products like cosmetics, medical devices, precious metals, and so on. It did not cover every single regulation or category in this video. As I said, it's a high-level overview, but you can find more. You can find guides on the Compliance Gate website or the YouTube channel.